Opening night. It's opening night.
Make no attempt to reload your device. You are now entering the Hellhole.
Oh, welcome back to the Hellhole. Welcome back to Gamescom opening night live. We're not live, pal. We're not live. It was live. Hashtag opening night live. We're not live now. It's the next night. Last night we had the big 2-hour extravaganza plus pre-show plus whatever countdown clock there was. I stayed up all night to watch this damn thing. I finished it in bed. It got way too late, but there were a few games that caught my eye. So I figured I would try to reconvene here in the Hellhole with you, take a look at some of the games that were featured at Gamescom 2023, and maybe, just maybe, come up with something to say about it. I am Internet Sensation Mick Lucifer. You are here in the Hellhole, and I guess we might as well kick it off with the big one, the one that I was waiting to see, the one that I have very mixed feelings about, as you know if you've been in the Hellhole. It's Mortal Kombat 1. I'm going to go through a few trailers. We're not going to stick to fighting games this time. Hopefully the audio is a little bit better balanced, so I tried to do this once before. It didn't go so well. Here we are, we're in the new Outworld, and I still just have so many questions about this entire premise. It seems that, for whatever reason, Fire God Liu Kang has remade reality, and for whatever reason, he has still seen to it that Edenia is merged with Outworld, which is a really, it's a little bit of a baffling premise for the whole situation, but I'd like to think that the game will answer it. And we have this character here, General Shao. General Shao we've heard about since, I guess, EVO. There was some story mode footage that was shown, which also featured Reiko. I kind of thought we might see Reiko in this trailer, but we didn't. I thought maybe we'd get the General Shao Reiko combination, because there's been like a theme unifying the characters revealed in these new trailers. It turns out that the unifying theory is Outworld's rulers, so we get Sindel here as well. Sindel, pretty much what you'd expect, not a lot of change. There's a little hint that maybe Sindel isn't on the side of angels again. Little unsure about that. Mortal Kombat 11 paired her with Shao Kahn willingly. It was understandably controversial with the Mortal Kombat fan base. I guess I'm a little bit numb to it at this point. For me, the fracture really came in 2011, the first reboot. We're rebooting again, but the questions now are sort of like, what is the explanation of these changes in the new timeline? Are they reasonable? Have they been considered? Has it been worked through? General Shao gives me a little bit of trouble. There's references here in this trailer to his illustrious father, which makes me wonder, is this Shao Jr.? Is this the son of the man who would be Shao Kahn? I got my doubts about that, but I do ask that question, particularly because this design with horns is totally out of nowhere. These huge horns, it is a striking design, but it's a big departure for Shao Kahn, who was traditionally not... I mean, his helmet has had horns, and there's been different designs for the helmet that have exploited the sort of horn motif in different ways. I think maybe in Mortal Kombat 11 there might have been a helmet or two that had horns a bit like this. But this is a totally different conception for Shao Kahn. Yeah, just in that small detail. So I do wonder, is there a chance this is like Shao Jr., in which case who is the mother? That's what I would ask, because that could be interesting. If it is Shao Kahn, I'm curious about the exact context of what's going on here. You could presume maybe that, as we already know, he invades Edenia, but in this timeline he loses, and that's why the realms are merged, but Edenia becomes the rulers of Outworld rather than... I mean, it raises a lot of questions, though, because so much of that original material was about separating Edenia from Outworld. Mortal Kombat 4 achieved it. We got to see more of Edenia in Mortal Kombat Deception, which let us kind of run around all the realms, so we actually got to see Edenia, and it was a very, a very pleasant, sort of Earth-like environment, but very, a lot of nature and sort of, ancient-inspired architecture. It was a very pleasant place just to hang out in Deception in the Conquest mode. Interesting too, not really featured in this trailer, but we've seen more of the invasion mode, which it's a much more pared back, almost mobile game inspired kind of mode compared to the conquest modes that we've seen, or even the story mode. A little unclear exactly how good invasion is. I gotta look at that closer. Clearly, the presentation of General Shao is pretty cool. I like the axe. The physicality of the character is good, but it's just got a whiff of illegitimacy about it. I need more context. I need to know, do I accept this or not? And you get, particularly when you get these close-ups of General Shao, like, it feels very much to me the kind of design you would expect to see from these new films, these live-action films. It's got a real stench of, like, a big guy with some stuff glued to the sides of his head. It's a little underwhelming, but aesthetically this game is really 50-50 to uninspiring, I would say. Motaro's looking a little bit cheesy. The cameos in general look pretty cheesy. They're all very... they lack detail. There's sort of like a plasticky look to some of the cameos. They've got those very basic designs. I feel like Motaro, I don't know, he's a little undersized. Is he maybe a little underserviced by being a cameo? Is that a character who should have really remained like a sub-boss so they could really build it up? But I'm almost conceiving like... the thing I always compare it to was... is it Tekken 6 that has Nancy? The big sort of quadrupedal android robot thing. I feel like an experience like that, particularly the way that you would sort of trigger that by mistake, sort of thing, or by accident. I think there were probably parameters. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you would stumble into that Nancy fight, and I feel like something like that for Motaro would be very sort of exciting. It would rekindle some of that sort of that mystery and that intrigue that Mortal Kombat used to have. The sense that there were secrets sort of everywhere. The secrets that are in the games these days are very like, it's an input for finishing move, like a brutality or something. It's very like, if you're hardcore about these things, you may be excited about that. But like even the toasty boost and things like that, it's just like it's not a lot to hold on to. Where's the big secret fight? Where's the big secret character? Give me some of that stuff. I think back to like Mortal Kombat 2. You had Jade, Smoke, Noob Saibot, 3 secret fights. So that kind of thing would be really exciting to see. Obviously, it opens the door to like complaints about DLC and things like that. We're seeing Motaro here. I mean, that kind of the more staged X-ray style move that complements Motaro much better. And I feel like maybe if it had just been like a special encounter where he's maybe physically quite large, like occupying a lot of screen space, maybe he's less mobile. I don't know. Just things that strike me. This move, like the treatment of the hair for Sindel, obviously there's multiple designs. The big hair is a little bit cheesy. in my mind, but it's the tubes of hair that are like sticking into dismembered opponents. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's coming together for me. But I have a generally just a bad taste in my mouth about this game. The entire premise, the reboot, the aesthetic look of it all, the tone, everything is just like, it just feels really flat to me. This game, this Mortal Kombat is maybe the Mortal Kombat I have the least amount of enthusiasm for. And there's been like some disappointments along the way. MK vs. DC is like the obvious one retrospective, but at the time it was exciting to see, okay, what DC characters are in here, how are they doing them. It was the first time. It was only really once the game was concluded that we realized how disappointing it was. MK 2011, similar situation where I was very disappointed to learn that it was a reboot for one. That was disappointing, and I still consider MK 2011 to be the fracture that has kind of forever compromised the series. It's never going to be as good as it was in some ways. But even just the fact that it was such a heavy retread of 1, 2, and 3, that was pretty disappointing to me. So MK 2011, I was disappointed, but there were positives, and there was a sense still of things evolving. The gameplay evolved, the story mode evolved. It took what they'd done in MK vs. DC, but advanced the story mode. So there were elements of MK 2011 that I still appreciated. And so ultimately, Mortal Kombat 1 right now is the game that I'm quite possibly the least interested in the entire history of Mortal Kombat, at least as far as pre-game. We'll see what post-game does. You know, personally, I was a big Kotal Khan fan. I feel like it would have been good to see him in here, get a bit of color. I don't know, though. Design-wise, maybe it wouldn't quite live up to it. I'm interested to see, like, will a character like Kotal Khan get DLC? We're seeing Kid Raiden here. General Shao's kind of got a point. Like, this looks like a kid that would be streaming about the game right now. It just looks like some guy. And that really rubs against me. Shao Kahn, he's got a bit of some guy feel about him, too. It feels very much like a cheesy movie design, and I do just wonder, like, elements of this game feel like they're connecting with those movies. Well, there's only been one. The second one is in production right now. I don't want that. Like, the logo is the movie logo. Don't want to see that. Liu Kang is wearing the same gear that Liu Kang wore in the movie. It's okay. It's not a bad design, but I don't want those movie connections. And now I'm wondering, is this a sign of things to come? Are we seeing a vision of the cinematic future? Is Shao Kahn going to look like this in the movie? And is that why we're stuck with it? Shujinko just came in there. I gotta throw a mention to Shujinko. Again, aesthetically disappointing. I mean, Shujinko, at the time was obviously very much synonymous with Pai Mei from the Kill Bill films, who was himself sort of a reference back to the Shaw Brothers films, and a character who is widely known as White Eyebrows. And what is Shujinko lacking here? It's the thick hair. It's the thick white eyebrows. The big, like I got some brows on me, but Shujinko should be out here, with thick white hair, the thick beard. Everything, it looks so, it's aesthetically, the entire premise of this game, the design conceit is just so, it's naturalistic to the point of being a little bit bland. It's not quite generic, and I think, we are getting used to some of the backgrounds and things like the general look. We're sort of adjusting to it, but there's a lot about the design in this game visually that is disappointing me right now. I don't know what else to say. Like some of these, like the palace and stuff, and you're seeing the Edenian flavor maybe being communicated through Outworld right now. You get the sense that Edenia is a big part of this. Again, conceptually, I wonder how we get there, and I am sort of... I would acknowledge that some of these questions may have answers. They may be satisfying answers, and they could still come, but there is... I'm a little bit on my... I'm on edge. I'm not quite convinced by what they're doing with this game. Trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Let them present their material. Let them present their answers, and we will get that eventually. But I'm having a real tough time getting excited about this game. That's disappointing to me. It was pointed out to me that Sindel's face is very similar to the face used for Li Mei. didn't actually occur to me, and I think there are some little differences. They're just two models, I think, that happen to look similar. But, I mean, that's part of the problem with Mortal Kombat going so heavily into using scanned models. There is a sense of, like, some of these characters just look like a schmuck who might have been walking down the street past NetherRealm Studios. You know, it's a little underwhelming. You know, we want the big sort of, the big presentation. You know, well, that's what I want. I mean, I'm seeing Kenshi and Johnny Cage just walking around in casual clothes, and I'm thinking this is a little underwhelming right now. It's not what I want from Mortal Kombat, and I always think back to that Ed Boon quote. You know, reality is boring. Nobody wants to pay for reality. The sad fact is, a lot of people want to pay for it. A lot of people are unfathomably excited by the entire MK1 premise. I question some of them. I think some of them are in the business of reacting positively to maybe profit. There's a lot of that kind of thing going around. I'm reacting here too, so maybe you got to doubt me as well, but I'm being very critical, and I feel that you may have a sense that I tend to be quite honest about my opinions. I try to be sensible. I'm not going to be a raving lunatic. None of these things mean that much to me, but I don't know. It's kind of cool to see Shujinko doing like the kung fu, hard-hitting kung fu. It looks like Shujinko might be borrowing moves from your opponent. That rubs me up the wrong way a little bit. It was pointed out to me by some of the guys in the Discord chat, like Baraka MK, some of those guys, Chris Cornhole. They've been pointing out, like, Shujinko does look a lot like the MK11 Tagawa Shang Tsung. And it had the same problem with that wispy hair. The hair is always, it's that gray, and it's very thin. For some reason, they just can't seem to embrace, like, a thick mustache and beard, which is not unrealistic. I wouldn't necessarily point to myself, but there are certainly people who would have even thicker facial hair than I do. It's not impossible, and even in even white or gray, I feel like they could be delivered a bit more. We can see in this trailer already, like, Sindel has multiple looks. There's bound to be a lot of looks. Invasion mode has you unlocking gear from what we've seen from previews today, so there is clearly going to be like probably a lot of customization, maybe even for cameo fighters. Hopefully Shujinko can get something more akin to his Deception look. And I've always been a little bit like, maybe initially I had a similar... I don't think I was ever down on Shujinko quite as much as some of the fan base were. There was a real there was an antagonistic premise that Shujinko was introduced to be the new hero of the series in a way. Liu Kang was dead. Kung Lao got the shot in Deadly Alliance, but he was dead in Deception 2, so all of a sudden Shujinko's there. That rubbed people up the wrong way, and I get that. Shujinko was never going to be the new hero of the franchise, but I like him as a character. I feel like he's been horribly just discarded, and there's so much potential. I will always wish that we got Shujinko in Mortal Kombat 11, just because of that customized system. The special moves, and maybe even, maybe even some of the... visual flourishes, but particularly being able to customize the moves the way you could in certain combinations and values in Mortal Kombat 11. I just think that would have been such a fun way to play around with Shujinko's accumulated abilities if they really paid attention to what he learned in Deception. And that's part of the thing that I'm a little disappointed here in the cameo version, because it looks like he's taking moves from your opponent, like he's using Shao Kahn's axe against him. That's just adding to like the confusion with Shang Tsung. That's more of a Shang Tsung thing. It's a Shinnok thing from MK4. I don't even particularly like it as a Shang Tsung thing, because I think Shang Tsung develops so much beyond the morphing in other characters thing. But that's the kind of gimmick. You've got Shujinko here already looking a little bit like Shang Tsung. That just kind of bugs the heck out of me. Shujinko was not indiscriminately, mimicking moves. His whole thing was that he was granted the ability to instantly sort of train and understand. And I feel like, rooted in that, give it that martial arts context. I like Shujinko as a guy who has learned multiple disciplines, who has studied with different styles and fighters. And I like that he technically joined the Lin Kuei. He is an old Lin Kuei fighter, who predates the Sub-Zero that we know. That kind of thing. I like that a little bit more. It's a bit more character. Yes, It's reusing the assets. It's reappropriating moves from other characters, but it's giving Shujinko, like, there's a good logic there, and you could maybe, in these new games, you could add, like, a twist to the way he uses those things. Like, he had Scorpion's Spear, but maybe he develops a twist on it, so it's not just literally doing the same thing that Scorpion does. But, I like the fast sort of kung fu, almost a little bit of like a Wing Chun, rapid punches. I like that. A little bit of the Ip Mans about it, which we've seen Kung Lao doing a whole lot. So I like that. I like that Shujinko's here. I think that's really cool. I wish Shujinko was playable. This roster is sort of like 50-50 for me. It's a little bit weird. Everything about this game is just a little bit off. It's not quite there. Maybe once we get the full picture, I'll feel a little bit different about that. Because that's an old complaint about Mortal Kombat 2. For a long time, they gave everything away before the game was out. Then you get the game, and you're sort of like, well, what now? Maybe they're holding some stuff back, and maybe that's a good thing. I don't know about this. The hair thing is really just not selling it for me, and I'm just not convinced by General Shao. I almost think I would be happier if Shao Kahn is dead, and this is like Shao Jr., and we meet the mother. Is it Sindel? Because, there's that connection between like horns and hair, so maybe that would be an explanation. Or is it like a demon? Is there a Lilith of the Mortal Kombat universe, and could she show up as the angry mother? Is that the unexpected threat that Liu Kang didn't anticipate, that baby Shao would have a mother? I got my doubts about that. I think this... I don't want to be defeatist. I don't want to be overly negative. I think this is Shao Kahn, and I think they've just kind of arbitrarily changed the design. Maybe there's an explanation. I don't know. We did see some sort of like dragon-like scales on his arms in MK11, so they've clearly been toying with the aesthetic. I thought MK11 Shao Kahn turned out pretty good. I had some minor issues with like the delivery of the voice, and he's sort of like, he was frog leaping. I feel like Shao Kahn should be a very strong stance, upright kind of character. Shoulders, like the shoulder charge, but he doesn't lower himself. The frog leap, it's a little bit, it's just in terms of like, it's just about presenting the characters in every aspect you can, and really thinking about that. And that's always been like a huge differentiation between like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Street Fighter, particularly like Street Fighter 2, those characters, every single detail tells you something about that character. Every move, you're not going to confuse each move, with multiple characters. Even like Ken and Ryu, they use the similarities intelligently, which is kind of what I was saying about Shujinko. There's an intelligent use, but then they contextually change them. Ken is distinct from Ryu. You could see the silhouettes doing the moves. You could probably pick the two of them out. There's, depending on the moves. But I don't know. Let's move on, because I don't know. I don't think I have much more to say about Mortal Kombat 1. I'm just not convinced yet. I want to be convinced. I'm just always going to have an issue with this game. I'm not excited about it. Hopefully they've got some interesting stuff to show us. Maybe some context to smooth things out. I don't know how much this has been like an exercise in thinking things out, or if they've just if they're just doing rough gestures. This General Shao is... There's a base there that's really good. I like the body and some of the armor and stuff, but it's a little disappointing, if I'm totally honest. So, I don't know. We'll move on to another fighting game that is really, is this the big hope? Street Fighter 6 is already out there. Head to the archive on YouTube, search for Hellhole Street Fighter. You'll see me playing a bit of that. I'm pretty happy with Street Fighter. It's a little bit, maybe a little too low-key. It's not quite as naturalistic in its presentation as Mortal Kombat 1, but it's a little bit low-key. So Street Fighter 6 maybe isn't like a 5-star or a 10 out of 10, but it's a very good experience. It will tide me through while I'm feeling a little unhappy with Mortal Kombat. But here's the other big one. We got to see more Tekken 8. Harada himself was there on stage. He had a bit more to say than Ed Boon did during the Mortal Kombat thing. I think Ed Boon's been a little unwell. I don't know if that was a factor. We don't need keynote speeches for hours. That thing was running way long. I couldn't believe how long it was. It was deep into the AM here. I had to go and sleep. I'm feeling it as it is. I'm feeling rough. 32 fighters in Tekken. Is that good? I feel like there's always a big roster in Tekken. surely 30 is about normal for Tekken, because Tekken has always delivered. I mean, Tekken's problem is that the bar was set so high in previous games that it feels a little undercooked sometimes. Tekken 7, I was very disappointed with the lack of campaign. I'm concerned about that with Tekken 8. We're seeing here some sort of like, I keep looking at it as like a Tekken Miiverse. It's like the Nintendo Mii's crossed with like Street Fighter 6's hub mode. It's kind of that going on. And in the presentation, they were saying that the story in Tekken 8 focuses on the player, and there's, you know, this sort of stuff going on here in the arcade experience. That concerns me a little. Tekken 7 didn't have a good campaign mode, and historically Tekken has done great with that. Starting with Tekken 3, you had the Tekken Force mode, which was like the Tekken engine side to side in a scrolling, belt scrolling, beat 'em up kind of vibe. Tekken 4 took it even further, and that was like an awesome semi 3D expansion on that sort of belt scroller kind of idea. And then Tekken 5 blew the doors open, and you had the full-on adventure mode with Jin Kazama Jin, and the aliens and all that stuff, multiple levels. It was a great. I mean, I got to go back and play that, because I thought that was pretty good. I'd be interested to see if I go back how impressive it is compared to what we had since. It's at a high bar. Tekken 6 campaign mode, also very good. It sort of went back a little less adventure game, although it had a bit of that, but it was a little bit more of like a 3D belt scroller, Streets of Rage, Final Fight kind of vibe, but it had so many levels. It had all the fighters in there. It was really fantastic. So I don't know. I got mixed feelings about Tekken 8, what we're seeing. A whole lot of extras here. I don't really go for the championship, the big like pre-order bonuses and stuff. For one, it's just too expensive. I don't have that much money, you know. I'm content to get the game. Right now, I don't even have a PS5. So these games, you know, Tekken 8 is coming January 2024. 2024. So I got time to think about whether or not I'm getting a PS5 or not. Maybe they're just waiting for Christmas to boost that install base a little bit. I'm curious too, thinking back to Mortal Kombat 1. You know, in terms of sales, we were talking about that on the Discord, and I've been thinking about it a lot, because, you know, I'm not a fan of this one. I don't necessarily, you know, I'm not wishing ill on the franchise, but I would say that Mortal Kombat 1 is going to have a tough time outselling Mortal Kombat 11, which I believe is the biggest by far in the franchise history. MKX set a record, and then MK11 broke that record. And I like MKX and MK11 quite a lot. I thought they were both pretty satisfactory games. To me, MK11 really took the presentation to another level. MKX maybe had some stronger material. MK11, though, did pretty good with what it had. It was a great experience. Mortal Kombat 1, jury's still out. I think it's going to have a tough time beating MK11. It might not beat MKX. It's just my feelings, but I don't know. Tekken, some of this stuff, you know, looks a bit like a story mode, and we see Raven repeat that line, Hayachi Mishima is dead, you know. And I feel like with the iconic voice actor, the Japanese voice actor, dying, I feel like retiring Hayachi Mishima is actually a good idea. I think they should actually go for it, stick with it. And I noticed too, we see Kuma in this lineup, and I believe I saw some key art was released with the character render for Kuma. Kuma's wearing Hayachi's, the top of his gi, and he's got the belt wrapped around his head. And I just feel like that's a wonderful tribute to that character. Retire Hayachi, let Hayachi sort of, you know, fade into the legend, and have Kuma honor him. And we still got Kazuya, who's, you know, one of my favorites, obviously. Look at all this stuff. Like, this is crazy. Kuma's got some sort of, like, robot fish. I don't know what's going on there. This me stuff, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't want it. But some of this is looking exciting. And there's elements in there that look like story mode. I presume the Raven line isn't a suggestion that we're revisiting old storylines. I hope not. I guess Tekken 7 kind of did that. Was very unsatisfying, particularly compared to what we're used to. I don't know. The gold suit pack, like, I don't know about all this. The statue, the Kazama Jin, the Jin Kazama statue is looking really good. Got the corporation stickers. Is that exciting anybody? I don't know. This me stuff, really, what are you doing, Tekken? We need you to deliver. I mean, Tekken is usually like a safe bet. Tekken doesn't change all that much. And that's actually a positive. You know, they advance the plot, they expand the features, they have these different modes, they revise the bonus modes. And if they don't deliver on that, I'm going to be a little disappointed. I don't know. Fist meets fate. I mean, some of this looks like it could be coming from a story mode. Some of it is maybe just an intro trailer. All these fighters are looking good. The fighters that are here look good. I don't know who I'd want that's missing. There's probably a few. You know, like... I don't know if we got Steve Fox. You know, he was a good addition. There's probably a few others that I'm not thinking of right now. Yoshimitsu's looking good. There's the line. What's going on, Raven? Is it a callback, or are we repeating history? I don't know. Retiring Hayachi is fine by me. This all looks good. I mean, I don't know that I have much more to say about it. Tekken 8 looks decent. Hopefully the features are in there. It's not a reboot, as far as I know, so that makes me happy. The sort of esports aspect of it is maybe... oh, there's Steve Fox. Steve Fox is in there. What am I talking about? Of course he's in there. Was he at the start of the trailer? Probably. The esports side of things, I don't know, a little obnoxious, a little bit cringeworthy, and I think history should probably look at it with a bit of cringe. As they say. I don't know. Hey, there he is. There's Steve Fox. The customization is always a bit wobbly to me, but I don't know. We got some cool characters there. Leon. Not Leon. Leroy. Leroy. I'm mixing up, like... I'm thinking of DOA now. Like, where's DOA? We got to get a new one of those. I don't know. It's cool. Let's move on. Here's where we're going to start expanding beyond the scope. And this is a game that I'm thinking about playing myself. But this was really cool. The game itself I'm not so into. Marvel Snap. Mobile game. It's now fully native to PC, which is why I've been thinking about checking it out. Just because, you know, I'm doing the PC gaming now. I'm a big PC boy. It's one of the 12 PC games that I currently have in my library. This animation though is really cool. So I mean, this is what we were looking at. I love seeing in there. There's like the classic Johnny Blaze as he slips through the different looks. It's that multiverse stuff that I don't really like because it's really just like an erosion of meaning. But, you know, we'll let it go. We'll ignore it. I mean, this is cool. Squirrel Girl with almost like a Sailor Moon vibe. I kind of like that. That's pretty good. Squirrel Girl's like a silly character. Deadpool's in there. Kind of bridging the worlds. Is this Devil Dinosaur as a robot for some reason? I'm not really sure. The animation looks good. I don't really know that much about the game. I know it's like a card stat game. I haven't messed around with it. I might mess around with that at some point soon. If I do, you'll probably see me doing it. But I like this Ghost Rider animation and the Deadpool animation. This environment that they're fighting in, it's a little bit like Battle World or something, but it also reminds me a little bit of Aeon Flux, and maybe like the No Man's Land between Brandy and Monica or whatever. You know, I like seeing that 70s Ghost Rider, and it's quite well animated. Show me more cool, good comic references, and I'll forgive the stuff I don't like as much. That's what I'm thinking anyway. I don't know that I have much more to say about it than that. I haven't played it. I'll probably play it at some point. If you guys are around the Hellhole, you know I'm a big comic book fan, so I'm probably going to check it out. I might like some of it. I'm not really sure. Mobile games, you know, they're a bit of a drag. Speaking of comics, this trailer wasn't shown during Gamescom, but I want to take a look at it anyway because it's kind of been released in tandem with the event. It's Hellboy Web of Word. Again, I'm a comic book fan. I like Hellboy comics a lot. Mike Mignola, probably one of my favorite artists, if I'm totally honest. I love a heavy black and a flat color. And lo and behold, Web of Word delivering... Is this the first time in any adaptation in any medium delivering a Hellboy experience that feels like Hellboy? Mike Mignola's Hellboy right there in the title. And that's what this is. You know, it's not perfect, but this is a very effective recreation of the Hellboy look, the Mike Mignola inked art, colored art, and I like it, man. I really like it. The game is looking maybe a little bit simplistic. I don't know if it's going to be my kind of game. It's a roguelike, which has me cocking my head. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. I'm curious. I'd like to know more. I'm eager to see if there's a bit of story in there as well. I mean, the Hellboy world is sort of a little bit weird. It doesn't have to necessarily be this carefully considered, carefully plotted narrative. It's okay if it's just sort of mythology and atmosphere. And that's actually one of the things that I haven't enjoyed about like the live action movies. And I think there was another video game which was maybe based on the movies. I forget exactly. I never really played it. And there were some animated movies. They don't really do the atmosphere that is such a big part of Hellboy. Hellboy, he's not a public figure. I don't know that he's necessarily secret, but the people who are exposed to him are not necessarily the mainstream. So I don't think of Hellboy as like striding through Times Square. He's not fighting monsters in Times Square or anything like that, which is a knock on the movies. He's a public figure. They go all out on that. But I feel like in the comics, he lives in the fringes. He lives in the shadows. It's not necessarily that he's hidden, but his business concerns places that do not have scrutiny necessarily. So it's the people who are there who are the ones who encounter him. So it's very dank, and I mean that in the real sense of the word, kids, not the silly thing. It's a shadowy. I think of him in like the fringes of Ireland, semi-rural areas of Ireland, places like that where he visits. He goes to tend to monsters, to witches, to all manner of unspeakable things, demons, goblins, gremlins, all this stuff. He's this game is featuring some of the big monsters that he's famous for his punch-ups. He's a scrapper. He's a brawler. He'll knock them around, and that's great. I'm looking forward to that in the game. I'm very curious just to see what this game is like. But the look of the game is such an immediate sales pitch. Like, this is great. They're really making a big effort to match the visual aesthetic signature of Mike Mignola, the creator and artist of the comics and the character. This is the kind of thing that so many things these days I feel like are missing. They're not making that artistic commitment, that creative commitment to really show us something that we're not getting anywhere else. And this game immediately is giving us something we're not getting from very many places. There have been cel-shaded games and things and heavy shadows, Obviously, I'm not ignoring that, although the comics probably predate those games, okay? So just the authenticity of this as a Hellboy product is immensely satisfying. These characters look fantastic. All of this stuff, it's just an experience unlike anything else that I can think of right now. Hopefully the game matches that. It's a little tough. It seems a little bit simplistic. It seems like there's not a lot to go on. I don't know how repetitive it's going to be. I don't quite know what to expect from the roguelike elements of it. Is it just dungeon to dungeon kind of stuff? Like, what are we going to be doing? I don't know. Hopefully the game lives up to it. October 4th, so not long now. Sadly, it's not PS4, it's PS5, so I don't know when I'll be playing it, but I think it looks good. I want to throw it in here because, I think this deserves a lot of praise just for its vision and its commitment to creating that classic Hellboy look. This is the kind of stuff, like, sometimes I complain about the lack of visual signature in things like Marvel films and stuff. Like a Daredevil show, like, I never ended up watching the Netflix show. I get the sense I'm probably not going to really like it that much, but I would love to see a Daredevil product where it's like the Alex Maleev, like, I think it's DD65, Volume 265 has that very Mignola-esque, almost like the vivid red Daredevil with the black shadows, and I like the it's almost like a Times Roman perfect DD for the logo. I don't know, I like the graphic conceit of that. Great to see games doing that. I mean, games, just like movies, it's a visual medium. What are you doing, guys? You got to commit to the look of your product, and this is great. It's by no means any kind of also-ran. Here's one. Hate that logo. Disgusting. Get rid of it. Here's one I'm not sure about. Armored Core 6. I just wanted to throw it in because it looks interesting to me. You probably can't really hear it. Hopefully my audio... Last time I did this, I was fighting the audio of the games. I've tried to key it down. It might be a little too much. It might be a little too soft. But the music in this, there was almost like a Blade Runner grindy synth in this trailer that I really liked. So I did want to find this particular trailer. I think I had to get it from IGN because the Armored Core accounts themselves have a totally different trailer for the launch of the game, which I believe is like in the next couple of days. This looks really interesting. I shouldn't say totally, but I've never played an Armored Core game. I don't know a lot about them. I'm not completely unfamiliar. Obviously, Armored Core has been around a long time. It's the kind of thing I've seen. And, I had my little, Games Workshop phase or whatever, where that kind of stuff looked interesting to me. So it's got, some very great sort of like mecha designs and all that. All of this stuff. It looks very interesting. I don't really know what to make of the plot and all that. This is From Software making this game, I believe, so a lot of speculation about the mechanics and how the game plays. Will it be at all like Elden Ring? That's kind of interesting. I'm not necessarily signing up for a brutalist experience like that again, but, it's interesting. And it's a different... I haven't really played these kinds of games, so it would be a different experience for me, but that's kind of enticing in its own way. I guess Elden Ring has put a bit more of a light on this Armored Core than other ones, because I've never really paid that much attention. I know they've come and gone. I've never really paid close attention to Armored Core, and this one feels like it's a bit more front and center. I don't know if the development is of a higher caliber. I wouldn't want to necessarily insult previous games, although I maybe got impression from somewhere that the previous games had maybe smaller development teams, and this is a bit more of that AAA Elden Ring style treatment. I'm not sure, but all of this looks very interesting. It can be a little bit, I could understand if some people find it a little bit cold. It's not generic, but it's a very gray steel, metal kind of environment, concrete. It's not the kind of thing that draws you necessarily straight in. You're not necessarily identifying with characters, although I think identifying with things is maybe just a little overrated. I think the designs here are very good for what they are, though, and I think, obviously that's something that's important to me. Aesthetics and design are a big part of the experience for me, and something I look at. But look at this. This is quite a dramatic vista. It reminds me of some of like the painted art you would see in the 80s and early 90s for different fantasy and sci-fi things. I don't know that I can't really cite anything. Nothing's coming to mind, but there was like books and certainly like those miniatures and things like that people would build, models and things. It's all very interesting. If you're watching in the archive and you want to school me on Armored Core, by all means, tell me what you like about it, because I'm curious and I'd like to know. It might be the kind of thing that I experience vicariously through someone else. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll dabble. There's plenty of games to get to. So, I don't know. We're not quite done here. There's more games to get to here. Look at this. I like the drama of all that. Just the sort of desolate environment with impersonal, somewhat decrepit or run-down environmental things in the wind and the dust. It just reminds me of some of the bits that I liked in Death Stranding, which was a game that I was hoping we would see at Gamescom, but we didn't. Nothing from Death Stranding 2, which would have been very exciting. It was disappointing. Nothing from Death Stranding the movie either, which was disappointing. We did see very early in the stage, very early in the presentation of Gamescom, we did see a guy rush the stage, and I'm pretty sure you would probably agree with me that, like Jeff Keighley said, it's disappointing, and we've really... Zack Snyder needs to be stopped. I don't know why he was wandering on the stage like that. It was very disappointing. But let's move on. The Crew Motorfest. This isn't a game that I've heard of until now, really. It looks kind of fun. I like a good sort of a bit of a car game. I don't quite know what's going on with this game. It's got real cars, so it's not a full-on arcade experience, which is maybe... I often talk about that sort of those middle ground racing games that have disappeared, where they're not a fully... It's not like a full-on Daytona, full-on arcade game, but it's also not sim. This one seems like it probably skews a little bit toward the Sims I don't know. It just kind of caught my interest. Obviously, you got the quad bikes here in this trailer and stuff. I don't know. Are they in the game? I think they're probably in the game. It's kind of it reminds me of some of those other things like I guess Burnout, things like that, which I tend not to pay a lot of attention to. Even Forza. I'm not an Xbox guy, so I haven't really been exposed to a lot of Forza. More so Gran Turismo in the last sort of however long. But this looks cool. It sort of feels like it's in that zone of the sort of Forza, whatever it was, Baja Blast. It's always my go-to. These sort of like, I don't know, they're on an island or something. They're on an island, they're driving across grass to get to tracks. Whatever it is. It feels like it's kind of in that neighborhood. But I don't know, it looks kind of cool. I'm interested just to see a new significant racing game. I don't know if the Crew like an existing franchise. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just not aware of it. Whatever happened to, what was that one? It was something Club. It was like Drive Club. How old is that? I don't even remember what that is. This looks cool. There's also there was another game that's like about winching and off-road stuff. It's a little too like maybe nerdy. It's that winching nerdcore, Range Rover kind of stuff that I'm not so into, but looks kind of interesting. I forget what that one's actually called now. I guess it kind of, it scratches that Dakar itch that I like. I was playing Dakar Desert Rally quite a bit for a while there, and I do like that kind of thing. It's the kind of thing maybe in a video game I would give it a try, but it's very much like it's the grueling trials of traversing the environment rather than just straight racing. So it's kind of the hard stuff, and it's very much in the weeds of that sort of nerd style element of motorsport and all that. But fair enough, But this game looks good. Let's go one more. I gotta have some Sonic. Apparently Sonic's back. I didn't know that he was ever gone. All the gang's there. This actually, I'm including this. This doesn't look so great to me. I guess this is another spiritual sequel to the classic 2D games. It's got that look that I don't like. It's sort of that slightly, like it's got there's like a veneer of Vaseline or something on everything. It's just that weird sort of translucent shininess that they put on the Mario games these days. And the last thing Sonic needs to be doing is chasing Mario, as far as I'm concerned. Interesting that it's got different game modes. That's all cool, and it's nice to see, like Knuckles, Tails, and is it Amy? So you got extra characters. I don't know about this one though. It looks Sonic Superstars. It's got a little bit of like the mobile game new Mario whiff to it, which I don't love. But it's cool to see Sonic in the mix. They also had Sonic Frontiers is getting an update. I still haven't I haven't touched that game yet. Seemed kind of interesting with maybe a few imperfections, things that sort of let it down a little bit, but I don't know. It looks good. I thought Gamescom was okay. I was a little frustrated by how late it was and the 2-hour aspect. It felt like it dragged a lot. There were a whole lot of games there that you'd probably be interested in. I definitely think, if you want to see that, go seek out the Gamescom presentation itself. Don't rely on everyone else to do your reactions for you, to tell you what to think, yes, I've been reacting for my entire life, so, I'm a bit of an expert when it comes to reacting to things. I'm not saying you should rush straight out there and start reacting to everything, but maybe just react to a few things, gauge your opinions, that kind of thing. I think you can handle it. I think you're big enough and tough enough. You've seen enough of the world. You can make your own opinions. I don't know, but Gamescom, it had like Cyberpunk, it had I don't know what else there were. There was a lot of stuff that I was a little bit not so into. There's a game there that looked a little bit sort of like a new take on Subnautica, which is mildly interesting. It's like a graphical upgrade, and there's a bit more drama and story and a human element. I don't know if it's got anything to do with Subnautica. I didn't really look into it, but that might be an interesting game. There was one, is it Last Nightmare 3 or something like that? Has an interesting sort of animated look to it. It's got some quirky characters and things like that. There was there's a Sun Wukong game I forget what it's called. Is it Black Wukong or something? It's almost like a Sekiro meets Journey to the West kind of game. Actually, it looks kind of interesting. It feels like a lot of people are doing Sun Wukong, Monkey King, and Journey to the West, which is, I was actually working on something that involved Journey to the West and Sun Wukong and the legacy of that. So I'm a little bit like, can everybody stop doing that? Because I've been planning something there for a few years. Too bad for me. Whole lot of Sun Wukong everywhere in guest in games about it. I mean, it's a cool world and a cool story. So that game looks pretty good. The Sekiro sort of style approach, a little bit of the Elden Ring about it. Is it a little cliche? Maybe. There's been a lot of those types of games lately, but that kind of looked interesting. I'm not sure if it's. I'm not sure if the full game is going to live up to the little preview, but the preview was okay. There was I forget what there was. There was a lot of talk about Troy Baker's Butthole, whatever that game was. I don't know. Was there something called Last Solace as well? That kind of looked interesting. Starfield is obviously not a game I'm going to play because I generally, my skin crawls when it comes to Xbox. It has a certain way about always being the kind of thing that I don't like. But Starfield looks interesting. Just the scope of Starfield, that's definitely something I'd like to experience vicariously through someone. I don't think I'm ever going to have an Xbox to experience it myself, so that's kind of the situation as it is. But I'm curious about it. Some of those space games, they aim for like the expanse and all that, and then it kind of like there's so much that it becomes almost inconsequential in a way, and the differentiation isn't strong, particularly when it's like automatically generated. So I don't know what kind of details are in Starfield. It's not something I've looked at closely. The games that I was interested in, I've kind of brought here. Maybe I could have mentioned a Sonic or the underwater game, but this is the stuff that I'm looking at. What do you think was cool? If you're over there on the YouTube archive, leave a comment. Tell me what games that you were interested in and what you thought of some of these games. Any of my points, maybe you can clear something up that I wasn't convinced about. Maybe you got a take, let me know, all that kind of stuff. That's cool. Got some things lined up for the Hellhole that'll show up sometime soon, hopefully. I don't know. We're doing all kinds of things. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. I'm dabbling in these kind of like, we're reacting to things. Oh, wow. Things have happened. Let's respond. I don't know. The whole thing's a little bit absurd. But, we're having some fun. It's nice to me as well. I can chew the fat, just show up, chat a little bit, talk about things that may be interesting me, and expand the horizons of the Hellhole. So it's not just whatever game I happen to be playing, and sometimes that takes my attention. It's nice to be able to explore some other interests and things like that. Maybe we'll continue to do that. People are checking out the Disney 100 Wonders deal for some reason. So check that out. I've got like fistfuls of these damn things. They're literally giving them away. So I don't know. Maybe I'll come back for more of that. They gave me. I wound up with a binder, so maybe we could put some of those cards in. I don't know. People enjoy that kind of thing. There's other things I might like to share with you, but I'm going back to a game that I haven't played, and I'm going to do it in a new way, so that'll show up on the channel sometime soon. Keep an eye out for that. If you want to find any of this stuff, make sure you're in the YouTube archive. Search for the Hellhole. Hellhole's actually one word. Don't be fooled by what's on your screen. The Hellhole, one word. So look for like Hellhole Street Fighter, Hellhole Vampire Survivors. You'll find the channel that way with the extra information. And then once you're there, check out the playlists. Check out whatever's there. Just find whatever you might be interested in. Do what you got to do to enjoy yourself. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, do all that stuff. All the good stuff that helps young, keen youngsters like myself, little fighters, little attackers. Help me out and do all that stuff. And you can head over to Twitch/McLucifer. You can follow there. If you're on there, you go to the About section. You'll find a link. You can donate if you really want to help me out. Boy, we're really just asking for everything now. Give me the shirt off your back, pal. Twitter @THellhole, the letter T, the word Hellhole. One day we'll do something to improve that. Hopefully the audio has been alright. Oh my goodness, I'm seeing a lot of red. There is always something going on with that audio. I don't know. we've been looking at games. This has been good. Gamescom, it's still going on for the next couple of days. I don't know, maybe more stuff will come out. Maybe they're holding back, keeping the good stuff in back. They don't want to give it all away straight away. I'm looking at you, Hideo Kojima. I want to know more about Death Stranding too. I'm very keen. Maybe we got to wait for the Game Awards in December of this year. The Keeleys. You think Jeff Keighley killed that guy? That's what I heard. I think he killed that guy. I think he has a taste for blood now. Adios, amigos. Stay cool. I'll be back sometime soon playing something. Keep on keeping on.